It's the Political Brown Kid here, and as you can tell, my channel I've slowed down on posting just because it's not beneficial for me to do so. The numbers just aren't there, but I still feel as though from time to time I'm probably going to chime in on a few topics or events that's going on. And this latest one from Barack Obama is going to be one that I am going to chime in on. Hopefully, I may insert some clips or videos into here from, as a point of reference to the conversations that have been going on. So, what people have probably heard from lately is number one, you have black women beating up on black men and black men beating up on black women. So, both sides are retaliating against one another. But particularly, I think black women have definitely wanted to separate themselves from black men. They've faulted black men for, I think, what's her name down in Georgia? Trying to think of her name. It was Stacey Abrams. That's the name. So when Stacey Abrams lost, of course, you had black women blaming black men, saying that black women showed up and did their part and black men did nothing. Don't know where that came from, but that's the shot that was fired. So this is nothing new. Black women have just when you look online, and let me digress just for a quick second. When you look online, you hear a lot of black women say that black men don't like black women or men don't like women. You hear a bunch of this talk, but it's women that don't like men. When you listen to the way they talk on television, they can be talking about a movie. They can be talking about Transformers, and then all of a sudden you'll hear something about toxic masculinity and the patriarchy. It just comes out of nowhere, but I digress. But they blame black men for Stacey Abrams losing. So now when you fast forward to today, you have Kamala Harris being presented as the candidate for the next president, the Democratic nominee. And you had Abby Phillips, she's a black female on CNN. You had Sonny Hostin, who came out and said some horrible things. And you had Barack Obama, who even went even lower than Sonny Hostin. But let me start with Abby Phillips first. Abby Phillips did something that was very, very interesting. And I'm going to reference Scott Galloway. If anyone is familiar with Scott Galloway was on CNN. I first saw him on CNN. He was on the Smirkonish show. He was talking to Smirkonish about young men in crisis. He's a white male. Just so we're clear, I'm just putting his race out there. He's a white male. And he has been going on a circuit talking about young men in crisis and no one addressing the young men issues that young men are falling behind in this country, and that there's a great concern how young men are, deleting themselves at an astronomical rate and no one cares. He went on the Smirkonish show. I saw him on there. I saw him on another platform on CNN, and I even saw him on the Bill Maher show. And on two of those occasions, at least, on when he was not on Smirkonish, because Smirkonish is a man, so Smirkonish did not give pushback, which you see the difference. But when they had women on the CNN panel, as soon as Smirkonish finished his monologue and giving his facts and data about young men in crisis and why no one is addressing the issue, the women all pivoted towards women's issues and about making it about women when we're sitting up here talking about men. But they just don't even want to acknowledge the fact that men have feelings or rights too. When he was on the Bill Maher show, I forget the female who was on the show with him on that one. She did the same thing. And Abby Phillips did the same thing with Nina Turner. Nina Turner, who I love, and like I told y'all, I would follow her. If whatever she's going to do, like I said, I would definitely be a part of it and support her on anything that she does. Nina Turner has definitely been sticking up for black people, period. But in particular, she's been one of the few women who's come out and been, defending black men and telling other people to stop disrespecting black men in their choice in voting. And she went on the show with Abby Phillips and on CNN. She gave a 2-minute breakdown on why Barack Obama was disrespectful. And as soon as she finished, Abby Phillips jumps in and says, well, don't you think that the black men not voting is because of misogyny? She immediately pivots to make it a bad, negative thing. It's equivalent to a woman putting out her issues, a woman putting out how she's been, assaulted by men and how she's doing this and how she's done that, and a woman going on giving her statistics and facts, and then a man coming out and saying, well, don't you think it's her fault? That's equivalent to what she's done, what Abby Phillips did. Instead of just acknowledging what Nina Turner was saying and just looking at the possibility and saying, you know what, those men do have a right to vote the way they want to vote, she immediately makes an assumption that it's misogyny. Let me just interrupt, and I'm going to say this. So I'm going to add this part in because I think I left this out. When this is just a narrative that you just see women push. Women claim that men are such misogynists, but they are anti-men. Abby Phillips, I just remembered, she had a panel of black men on, I don't know if it's her, I don't watch CNN. I got out of the CNN business a long time ago. I don't watch really Fox. I don't watch MSNBC. I don't pay attention to that stuff anymore, for the most part. But she had a panel of black men on her show, and she was asking them about Barack Obama's comments. And when all of them were talking, and they were basically saying that Barack was wrong, she did not chime in and say a word. Then the only thing she wanted to chime in on, and then when black men were rebutting her stance on black men being misogynistic, she did not want to even accept or entertain the idea that black men were voting for Kamala, or were not going to vote for Kamala strictly because it didn't have anything to do with gender. But one black man was on the show and said that since he's in the radio business, he has heard from black men that they're not voting for her because she's a woman, or he has heard it from some callers. Then that's when she wants to chime her head and say, yep, see, he's heard it. What I'm getting at is this. A lot of people filter out information, and women in particular do this because women, once again, they let their emotions override rationality and being impartial. That's just my experience with women. And this goes to show you, when you watch Abby Phillips, she does the same thing. And when you watch a lot of women, you watch The View, you see them women do it all of the time. They filter out information that they don't like, and then they hang their hat or grasp onto the information that supports their premise. So once again, Abby Phillips is listening to these 4 black men on her panel. I think it was 4. She's listening to them, and she's not chiming in because they're not giving her the soundbite that she wants until that one black guy states he's heard it, and then she gravitates and grasps onto that point. Also, the other point that I left out of the video, I do believe, is that when you look at previous elections, when Hillary Clinton ran for office, you didn't hear black men in an uproar saying that they weren't going to vote for Hillary. You didn't have this type of issues going on because she was a woman. You just didn't have it. But when Shirley Chisholm ran, I wasn't even born when Shirley Chisholm was around. I don't even think, I'm 46. I don't recall hearing anything about misogynistic stuff going on where black men were not going to support her because she was a woman. And I'm not trying to say that it did not happen. I'm just trying to say I have not heard that. There's been plenty of black women that have ran for positions in the Senate as governors, and you don't hear those type of things. When Stacey Abrams ran, listen, number one, I have family in the South. It is hard to run in places like North Carolina, South Carolina, Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama. Those places, it's going to be hard to run, probably even Kentucky. I don't know anything about Kentucky. But in those places, it's going to be very hard if you're a liberal person to run and win. That's why when Stacey Abrams ran in Georgia, they considered it a victory because of the numbers that she pulled. And she was immediately, she became a party darling because of what she had accomplished in the race. You didn't hear black men saying that they weren't going to support her. You didn't have this fiasco that's going on. Even though, once again, like I told y'all earlier in the video, black women blamed black men for not supporting Stacey Abrams. And the exit polls prove that to be wrong. Black men did support Stacey Abrams. And once again, like I said, it's this whole thing where black women just turn on black men at the drop of a hat. A white man can be a Ku Klux Klan member. In the moment he drops his Klan hat, he could have said the nastiest, vilest, vicious thing about black women or black people, period. And as soon as he says, I'm reformed, I've changed my life around, I now like black people. You know what the black women are going to do? They're going to immediately start sending out messages on social media and replying to his renunciation of the Klan and be like, yeah, I'm glad a fine white man has now changed his mind. If you're interested in black women, hit me up. They don't do that to us. They don't. Let a black man post a video saying that he likes black women or black women are beautiful and black women are queens and black women get disrespected. You know what they say? They don't say anything. They just say, yeah, thank you. You know, they just give a thank you and then they keep it moving. There's a video about it's a white guy and this guy's fat. He's chubby. He's not fat. He's chubby. A chubby white guy with a New York baseball cap on, blue eyes, wearing his beard, talking like he's black. He says he doesn't date pink or clear people, talking about he basically don't date his own kind. And you got a whole bunch of black women talking about, yeah, you cute, yeah, you fine, and they're all over him. We don't get that same love from black women. So that's just, these are the many things that black men go through on a daily basis. And I'm not trying to say that black women don't go through things either, but I can only speak from my life and my perspective as a black male that's in his mid-40s or later, because now I'm 46, so I'm on the other side of 45, that's in his mid to late 40s. So now let's get back to the regular video. Let me say this. And I'm going to say this, no one talks about why when Donald Trump won the 2016 election, the Democrats did what do they call it? An autopsy on why they lost. The Democrats, the conversations immediately around when Donald Trump won, it initially was the white people that voted for Trump are racist. The white people that voted for Trump are racist. I think we all can agree to that. As soon as you see a white person with a MAGA hat on, everyone just labeled them as a racist. But then the Democrats slowly started pivoting from that talking point because they didn't want to get stuck on that narrative. And so they immediately pivoted and said that we should no longer be saying that the people that support Trump are racist. Trump just spoke to a demographic of individuals who had not been heard from or has been spoken to since, they've been of voting age. And now he's the only person he's the first presidential candidate to address those working class white men who decided to come out in droves and vote for Trump. They switched the narrative from racist to let's understand these white men and understand why they're voting the way they vote. When will Democrats have that moment of clarity to say, we need to understand why black men are turned off by Kamala? We need to understand that. It's not that they're misogynist, or it's not that they're, as Sunny Hostin's labeled us, and we're going to talk about her comments. She called black men crazy and irrational or crazy and stupid. She used these adjectives. Go watch it. And I may plug in the clip here. She talked about white women not voting for Kamala. She talked about Cubans not voting for Kamala. And all she said about them was she just said white women aren't voting or white people aren't voting for Kamala. Then she said Cuban people aren't voting for Kamala. And then she said, and those crazy, stupid or crazy and irrational black men, why is it that the black men had to have an adjective or adjectives, that negative adjectives? She didn't say stupid white women. She didn't say those stupid Cubans. None of those adjectives applied. But when she got to black men, her hatred for black men came out. And this is what we've been seeing as black men in this country for a long time. We're seeing that everyone attacks us, even our own group of women, the women that look like us. They're even attacking us instead of just trying to understand it. And I just did a video on my channel on why people are turned off by, or at least why I'm turned off by comment. I'm assuming that my reasons why, because I've been seeing online, I've been doing my social media look intakes, and I see that a lot of people align with my rationale. She's Barack Obama 2.0, and I know a lot of black people like Barack, but Barack was not good. I voted for Barack during his first term, and I voted hesitantly. But we saw what he turned into. He distanced himself from black people since he jumped in the White House from the gate. But I'm going to save that for the end because I'm going to get to Barack, and I'm going to tell you about Barack. So now let's talk about Barack. Barack Obama, and not even just Barack, we can even look at Kamala. Kamala's been in the White House for 3 years now. She could have easily slid something on Joe Biden's desk. You have Joe Biden's ear. Apparently, Joe Biden claims he likes black people. He put a black female as his running mate. He made Juneteenth a holiday. He's done a lot of good things. Or he's taken a lot of black issues into consideration. I'm not knocking that. You don't see me beating up on Joe, even though I don't agree with his financial policies. I like Joe Biden overall. But if Kamala was so concerned as vice president, how come you didn't slide something on Joe Biden's desk during year one to say, hey, look, here's an initiative you can do for black men to help them build businesses or help them do that, or just black people, period. It could have just been for black people. She didn't do it. She didn't slide anything across the desk. All of these people went MIA for 3 years, as politicians normally do. And in the 4th year, when it comes election time, now they have all of these plans. Once again, Joe Biden and Kamala did nothing about the border for 3 years. Then, during an election year, they see that even Democrats hate the border. And so now they wanted to try and push legislation to clean up the border. So it gives them ground to stand on going into the debates and going into the election cycle. And the Republicans called their card, and the Republicans said, no, we're not going to allow you to do this. And they blocked the bill. And I would have done the same thing. I'm not going to let you disappear for 3 years. And then now in the 4th year, you want to come out and speak to the people and be a part of the people. I would have done the same thing. So now let's go into Barack. Barack is the same way. When Barack Obama was in the White House, you did not see this man. This man, he refused to meet with the Congressional Black Caucus. He told it, basically, you can hear Kamala's talking points from Obama. She's taken his exact playbook. Barack Obama said, all tides lift. He used the exact same words. A rising tide lifts all boats. Kamala said the same thing. And if you think I'm just jumping on the bandwagon, go back and check my channel. I've been saying all of this stuff before it all even came out, because these people are predictable. And I'm also smart. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to pat myself on the back. But she said a rising tide lifts all boats. They're both, quote unquote, half-breeds that really don't identify as black. At least Barack did marry a black woman. But a lot of this stuff just looks skeptical. And then when Barack got into office, I don't know if people remember this. When Barack first got into office, I think that he was trying to do a cleanup job on Dick Cheney and George W. Bush's White House, because remember, if you're too young to remember, during that time, America was acting very uppity towards other nations. And when I say uppity, I mean even uppity towards their allies, the United Kingdom, the European nations. They were just by going into the Iraq War, the United Nations voted against America going into the Iraq War. The United States went anyway. The United States was very arrogant during the George Bush years. When Barack Obama came in, he went on an apology tour, and it ticked people. I want y'all to research this to see if I'm lying. My memory is very good. My memory is pretty good. So that's why I can freestyle this off the dome. When Barack Obama got into the White House, one of the first things that he did, in addition to rejecting or refusing to meet with the Congressional Black Caucus, was he went on an apology tour. He went to the European countries and apologized for the United States not being a good ally, or for what I think that was the overall, just not being a good friend. But when he went to the African countries, he went over there and told them colonization is over. That happened years or centuries ago. Get over it. That was his speech to them. When he approaches white people, he approaches them with respect. When he approaches black people, he looks down on you. I don't make this stuff up. Even his wife, Michelle Obama, is the same way. When people probably don't remember this, but he went to Morehouse College and gave the inaugural address, or what I don't know, called inaugural or commencement speech, whatever you want to call these speeches. Mind you, here's a group of young black men that have been in school and have achieved, have basically reached the pinnacle or milestone of their academic careers, and they're getting it, or at least one of the many academic achievements. They have reached this milestone of graduating. Graduations are supposed to be, especially from college, if you ever went to college and graduated from college, it's supposed to be a euphoric time for you. And this man went to these young educated men and was trying to tell them how they should conduct themselves, what they need to do, what you should do. But when he goes to Princeton and Yale and he goes to these other schools, and when he goes to these white schools, he doesn't lecture and talk down to them. But yet they talk down to Morehouse, and I forgot where Michelle went. Michelle went to another black school, and she did the same thing. She talked down to these people. These people are graduating from school. They don't need you lecturing to them. Why don't you give them a job, Barack, since you got your little media company making tens of, if not hundreds of millions of dollars? But you won't do that because you don't like black people. And now you want to punch down to black people. What people don't realize, when Barack gave this last fiasco that he's done, because once again, like I said, Barack Obama, he disappears on you for 3 years. When he was in the White House, he disappeared for 3 years. And then when it was election time, of course, then he invokes black people. This is a man that claims, I'm not the president of black people, I'm the president of all people. But when he speaks to black people, he specifically says, you black people ain't showing up. The black turnout ain't showing up. What's up with you black people? Y'all failing to do this. He can always, now he wants to be race specific. But when he comes and gets what he wants in an election cycle, now he no longer can be race specific. And that's what pisses me off with Barack Obama and people who like and support Barack Obama, because you ignore all of this other stuff. You hang up, trust me, I know this for a fact because I have relatives who've done this. When you look down in their hole, you have 3 pictures on the wall. You have Jesus Christ, you have Martin Luther King, and now you have Barack Obama's picture. And some people even take down Martin Luther King picture if they don't have enough room, and they just leave Jesus Christ and Barack Obama. And trust me, it ticks me off when I go to some of my relatives' house, because I'm like, did they help you out? I carried a whole bunch of groceries and I helped you out and I did all this for you, auntie. I don't see my pictures anywhere in this household. And I'm over here helping you out all the time. But that's the way that the world works. And Barack has a God complex because people have been kissing his ass. And now he feels the need that he can lecture people. Once again, he goes MIA for 3 years. Where has he been for the past 3 years? You haven't seen Barack Obama. He's been building his media empire on Netflix, producing lame-ass shows for Netflix, lame-ass documentaries, should I say, for Netflix, because he's not original. He doesn't have that type of mind. He doesn't have a creative mind. And so what he does, he's been making his money. Now they wheel him out because of whatever reason, I guess because it's a tight election cycle. I don't know what the numbers look like. And now he wants to lecture people. He talks down to you. I'm a man just like he's a man. You don't lecture men. What you do is you come to them and you try to understand why they're voting. If anything, just sell people on. I don't have a problem with him coming out per se, but if you're going to come out, just speak to me as I'm a man, just like I'm any other man. And all you have to do is say, hey, look, why aren't you voting for it? Find out the reasons why, gather information, and then be like, okay, well, I heard your reasons. Well, let me explain. Let me just kind of sell you on these points on why you should. It's amazing how Democrats want people to get registered to vote. They want to rock the vote. They do all of this stuff with Puffy and them, rock the vote, do all of this crazy stuff to get people to vote. But as soon as people don't vote the way they want them to vote, particularly black people, then they chastise them and look down on them, instead of just trying to understand why they're voting the way they vote. And these are the horrible and unfortunate things when you're looking at people like Barack, Sonny Hostin, Abby Phillips, and the multitude of black women that are online disrespecting black men for the way they vote, but you don't see any of this smoke coming for white women. You don't see any of them bringing any of this smoke towards Asian people, Latinos, no one but black men. And it's unfortunate. It is very, very unfortunate. Let me just leave you with this on this too. The biggest issue, and this is probably another turnoff for me, because I've gave my reasons why people are turned off or lukewarm towards Kamala Harris. But here's the one thing that I left out of that previous video, and I definitely want y'all to check it out. It's on my channel. It's one of the later videos that I did. Of course, the numbers are low. All of my numbers are low on my videos. But the biggest issue that Kamala and other women that are trying to get me as a man to vote for a woman is women's rights are on the line. Women's rights are on the line. Come out. This is the most important. Number one, every election, you can't convince me that the sky is falling. So let's stop with that. It seems like ever since after Bill Clinton, it seems like or really since George Bush, every election it's a doom or gloom situation. And Trump was president for 4 years. And I'm not giving him I'm just stating the facts. Trump was president for 4 years. Slavery did not come back. The world did not fall. The sky did not fall. Was there chaos and confusion and a lot of turnover in the White House? You can say that, yes. But you can't say that the world is going to end. That's why you have the balance of government. You have a tripartite. You have the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and the executive branch. That's why you operate the way you do. So in order for you to have slavery come back, you would literally have to have the president sign that into office. And then it would have to go through Congress and the Senate, literally. And then if someone challenged it and it went to the Supreme Court, then your Supreme Court judges would have to uphold it. It doesn't make sense. So you can't convince me with the sky's falling routine. So that's number one. This whole sky is falling during every election. It's not working with me. But the bigger thing is this. Like I said, all of the women who want you to vote for Kamala, their main issue is women's reproductive rights. Well, guess what? Newsflash, I'm not a woman. And in my perspective, that's just like when you have a black person and a white person talking, they see life differently. Black people see, I'm just using this as an example, black people see police brutality. White people see, well, why didn't you comply? And I'm not trying to say that either side is right or wrong, but there's probably some truth to both sides. But when you're a man, you're looking at reproductive rights differently. Because a woman is looking at it one way and I'm looking at it from the perspective of, well, why aren't you using contraceptives? Why aren't you using this? Why aren't you using that? Well, what's the problem with the laws that we have today? That's not my primary focus. That's just to give you an example and flip the script. If a man was, let's just say it was Joe Biden running up against Donald Trump. And let's just say Joe Biden came out and all of the men on CNN and MSNBC and all of these men across the country that were being interviewed were saying, men's rights are on the line. Men's rights are on the line. You know, we need to stop circumcisions because that's mutilation. That's genital mutilation of young boys when they come out of the womb. We're not even out of the womb for 5 minutes and we're getting our genitals mutilated. Because no one complains about male genitalia getting mutilated. But when they were doing it in Africa, when they were circumcising women, that was a huge issue. But no one looks at it and says, well, what's the problem? That's a problem. It's just been an accepted thing because it happens from the time, since it's in the Bible. But what's also in the Bible is Solomon having 700 wives, Ibrahim. There's a lot of people in that Bible that had multiple wives. Also, what was in the Bible, women having a particular role, was also in the Bible. Being stoned to death, what was also in the Bible. Definitely not you having terminating pregnancies. That's not in the Bible. So women, you can't look and cherry pick and say, well, no, that's in the Bible, so you got to go with that. But if a man had issues on the line, like about circumcisions, or about him getting free condoms or whatever, prophylactics or whatever it is that you want to call it, guess how many women would be like, oh, that's very important to me. I really have to run out and vote for Joe Biden. He's going to save men's reproductive rights. Women would not care. They would not care. So at the same right, when you bring to me as your primary focus for me voting for Kamala is women's reproductive rights, I don't care. I really don't have a particular stance on it, because to me, I see just be responsible when you're out here engaging in particular actions. That's the way that I look at it. My bigger issues is the economy, meaning inflation, the debt that America refuses to try to lower. And then also, when you look at what's going on in Israel and Iran, and when you look at Russia and Ukraine, those are issues. And then now you see what's going on between China and what's the other island that's supposed to be a part of China that America keeps meddling in? I can't think of it right now, but they were supposed to be. China basically says that they're a part of us and America, leave them alone. Nancy Pelosi went and took the trip over there anyway because America said a big F you to China. But China is now doing flyovers and doing military tests and kind of provoking that particular region of Asia. So those are the issues that are really bothering me at the present time. It's not your reproductive right. It's not your right to go out and bang whoever you want to bang with impunity and then brag about it on the internet about how many bodies you got and what nasty things you've done with your genitalia and your mouth and your ear hole and nose holes. That's not my concern. It's really not. So once again, you need to check out my other videos on the reasons why why people are turned off by Kamala. And that may give you some insight into why, a lot of black males are turned off by Kamala. So I'm going to end this video here. If you definitely have feedback and comments, definitely drop some comments in the comment section. Also hit the like and subscribe button. Once again, this is the Political Brown Kid. I'm out of here.